So, Mike, as you know, some people cite Athanasius' Easter letter of, I think, 367 as evidence that it was really only in the 4th century that our 27 books in the New Testament were officially canonized by the church. But what you've been saying is, even though we may not have had a list containing all of the 27 books and only those 27, the actual concept of canon is a lot older, and many of the individual books, such as the fourfold gospel collection or canon, again, are at least 2nd century, if not earlier.
No, that's exactly right. Another way to ask the question is, there's not just one way to ascertain canon. Certainly a list is a good way. I mean, lists are really plain and simple and clear, and they're helpful. But there's other ways to ascertain what the canon would have been like and what books Christians would have read. And as you just indicated, I've argued in a number of places that there's enormous evidence from the 2nd and 3rd centuries that Christians were already relatively settled on a core collection of books, what we might call 23 out of 27, 22 out of 27 books very early. And so you don't have to wait till the 4th century to get Athanasius' letter to tell you that. I'll also add this. I actually don't think Athanasius' list is the earliest list we have. I wrote an article for a Festra for Larry Hurtado, came out 2 years ago, I think, arguing that actually Origen's homilies on Joshua include an earlier complete list of all 27 books. And this, I think, is overlooked for a variety of reasons, but he wrote that around 250 AD and mentions it in a way that it seems very accepted and very normal and not at all controversial. At least in Origen's mind, the canon was not an open question in his day.
And in any case, we should allow for the church to judicially assess whether or not a given writing bears the marks of inspiration. And just because there's a certain process involved,
that's right,
does not mean that the canon was uncertain. If anything, it proves that the church was using its critical judgment to arrive at that definitive list of canonical writings.
No, that's right. People get hung up on how long it took. Like, well, this should have happened in just a couple years or something like this. But as you indicated, this is a process. This takes time. The books need to circulate and get known and get read, and there needs to be conversations about them. And we need to give time for that process to happen. And also, as you noted, it seems to indicate the church was very careful. They didn't jump the gun and just make rash declarations, but wanted to make sure that the books they had really were the books that God had given. So I think we have a lot of reasons to be confident in the collection of books we have.